Oh, hi! I'm glad you came today for a few more stories from Newport Public Library's Story Time. Go ahead, have a seat, get comfortable. I want to share some stories with you today that I've enjoyed for a long time. These are stories, ancient stories, about a real person. These are the tales of Nasruddin, the Hodja. Nasruddin was a teacher who really did live in 13th century Turkey. If you were to go there today to a certain small village, you would find his grave outside that village. The Hodja, or Nasruddin, he taught all over the Middle East, and his stories live on to this very day. I first found his stories as they were told by Joel Ben Izzy on a tape that I came across in the late 1980s called Tales of the Traveling Storyteller. And that led me on to find other books through the library, of course. The Wisdom of Nasruddin, or collections that Idris Shah has put together. And to this day, if you are in the Middle East and perhaps are having some tea in one of the tea shops, you might be able to drink free tea all day long if you can tell some of these tales. Now, the Nasruddin, the Hodja, and the secret of life. One day, Nasruddin was sitting in the village square, and he was looking very wise, when he was approached by a seeker of truth. And the seeker said to him, "Oh, it is you, Nasruddin, the Hodja, the wisest of all the wise?" "Oh, yes, I am Nasruddin." "Oh, Hodja, please, can you tell me the secret of life? The secret that once I know it, I'll always be happy?" "Oh, the secret of life, good judgment." "Oh, of course, Nasruddin. I should have known that, but I am such a poor, simple man. Good judgment, but how am I to gain this good judgment, Nasruddin, you who has all the knowledge of all the ages within your mind?" Experience. Oh, of course, experience. If I was not such a simple man, I would have known that experience would bring me good judgment. But Nasruddin, how am I to gain this experience? Bad judgment. I think of that one often when I have made a mistake, how it might lead me to making better decisions in the future and to a happy life. Now, Nasruddin's stories, as I said, they're known all over the world, and some of them get changed once in a while. But this next one is the story of Nasruddin and his coat, and I do have a very special coat on today. One day, Nasruddin was out working in his fields with his men, and he'd been working hard all day long, and he was dirty and he was sweaty, and he had an old jacket on, and he had on old clothes. He was filthy, and he smelled it too, when a messenger came from the sheikh. And the messenger said to him, "Nasruddin, you are invited to have a meal with the sheikh in his palace tonight." "Oh, says Nasruddin, "I most certainly will." However, Nasruddin and his men had to get in the crops before the rains came, and so Nasruddin worked right up until the time that he was to go to the sheikh's palace. And so when he knocked on the palace door, he was still in the same clothes he'd been wearing all day. It was obvious. And when the doorkeeper opened the door and saw him, he went, "Yes, what is it you want, sir?" "Oh, well, I've been invited to have a meal with the sheikh. I am here to eat with him." "Oh, excuse me, sir," said the doorkeeper. "There's no way you can come in dressed like that, looking like that, smelling like that, to have a meal with the sheikh." And the doorkeeper closed the door. "Huh," said the Hodja. "Okay, fine." So Nasruddin went home. Now, it came about that once again the sheikh sent an invitation to Nasruddin to come and share a meal with him. Well, this time Nasruddin knew what he needed to do to get past the doorkeeper, so he made sure that he spent a great deal of time in the baths that day, and that he put on his finest coat. And when he knocked on the door of the palace and the doorkeeper opened it up, "Ah, Nasruddin, your honored Hodja, please, come in and join the sheikh for a meal." And so it was that Hodja was seated right next to the sheikh, and a fabulous meal was brought and set before him. Nasruddin's mouth watered, and he picked up the food and he put it in the sleeve of his coat. And he picked up another bit and he put it in the other sleeve of his coat. And this he did through the entire meal until the sheikh said to him, Hodja, why is it that you're putting this excellent food into your coat?" "Well," says Nasruddin, "it is obvious. The coat was invited to the meal, not me. It's only right that I should feed my coat." So, Nasruddin tales. Oh, there are so many. I think I'll just share one more with you today. I spoke of the baths when Nasruddin went to get all cleaned up before he went to enjoy a meal in the sheikh's palace. And Nasruddin, as most people in his village and in his country and in all of Middle East, they knew the value of being very clean, and they used the baths often. So one day, Hodja had been traveling, and he was in a strange city where no one actually knew who he was. And so the Hodja went to take a bath. And when he got there, the bathkeeper, he gave the Hodja a little tiny towel that was so thin, the Hodja lifted it up and he could see through it. And he gave the Hodja a little tiny sliver of soap, barely enough to put a little suds on his cheeks, much less wash his beard. And then he led the Hodja way to the back of the baths, and inside was water that obviously had been used by many very dirty people already that day. Oh, the Hodja thought, well, I'll do the best I can. So he took that little tiny bit of towel and that little sliver of soap and that dirty water, got as clean as he could. And when he left, he gave the bathkeeper a huge tip, a great deal of money. And the bathkeeper's eyes dropped open, as did his mouth. Oh, so much money! And he looked after the Hodja as he walked down the street. No one would know that a man who looked like that would have so much money. But the next day, when the Hodja returned to the baths, oh my goodness, he was handed a great, huge towel, so soft you could sleep on it. He was given a pot of the finest soap, soft and sweet. And even when you used it, the suds just jumped up. And he was led into the very best bathing room that had a tub of marble. And it was filled with hot, scented water. And throughout his bathing, attendants came and brought him oils and lotions for his skin and to bathe his beard and his hair. And when the Hodja was finished and was going to leave, all of the attendants in the bath and the bathkeeper himself were lined up waiting for him to leave. And the Hodja took out one small coin and dropped it in the bathkeeper's hand. And the bathkeeper said, "Oh, Hodja, yesterday you gave me so much money. Why such a small tip today?" "Oh," says the Hodja, "that money yesterday, that was for today's bath. This is a tip for yesterday's bath."